Well, as far as I couldn't tell you the date if I had to, but the whole idea of trying to make we were all trying to change things, and sometimes you need a new voice. You need a new voice to say the same things that people have been saying to get some momentum and get it changed. And Vince was that voice. And Vince came in, and all of a sudden it was a new voice telling Vince things, and gave that opportunity, man, and ran with it. And obviously it was pretty successful. But it was being able to look at the business in a way that we hadn't looked at the business before. And again, it was a new voice going to Vince McMahon and saying shit, that had been said, but he's like, well, what if, this doesn't make sense and that doesn't make sense. And now it's like, wait a minute, here's a guy telling me that this doesn't make sense. Well, why doesn't anybody else see that this doesn't make sense? And it's like, well, they were, but, so the fact that he did and the fact that his ideas worked was all positive. Because it allowed, it allowed a new voice, a new direction, try something new. Because what we were doing wasn't working. I think Vince would feel it is. I always enjoyed, I enjoyed working with Vince. And we have completely polar opposite viewpoints on the business, and we meet somewhere in the middle when we work together. So, again, I can pretty much work with anybody, and I try to look at the positives in people and what they bring to the table, and I think Vince brought a lot of positives. I think sometimes he brought a lot of negatives onto himself with some of his viewpoints on things that he made public, and as Randy Savage said to me one time, goes, yeah, but you could have been a little nicer, brother. It's just the way that things are presented sometimes, and you always have to have a scapegoat. So rather than look in the mirror a lot of times, it's easier to blame somebody else.
Sure.
And as far as TNA, I don't know. I had left by then, so I don't know what went on there, whether he was working there. I heard he was, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you whether or not that had anything to do with it or not. That's something that I guess only Dixie and Vince and the folks from Spike really know, and that's one of the things that you always have to remember. When you read things, you hear things, rumor and innuendo, unless you were there, witnessed it, felt it, touched it, the whole 9 yards, you don't really know.
Sure.
You can talk to 10 people who say they were there, but you probably get 10 different stories.